why you value your stuff more than it's worth. Have you ever noticed how you might overestimate the value of something just because it belongs to you? Maybe it's an old pair of shoes you keep hanging on to, or that vintage comic book that seems priceless to you but isn't worth much on the open market. Well, you're not alone. Today we are diving into the psychology behind why we tend to value our possessions more than they are worth. By the end of this video, you'll understand the science behind this quirk and how it affects your buying and selling decisions. If you have ever experienced this firsthand, hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more fascinating insights. So now let's dive in. The endowment effect, a fascinating psychological quirk that can make your old coffee mug seem more valuable than a shiny new one from the store. This effect happens because once something is ours, we tend to place a higher value on it than if it were just another object on the shelf. For instance, think about trying to sell your beloved old bicycle. You might set a price of $200, convinced it's worth that much due to the memories and efforts you have invested in it. However, if you were in the market for a similar bike, you might hesitate to spend more than $100. The disparity between how much you value your bike and what others are willing to pay is a classic example of the endowment effect at work. This bias isn't just about the bikes or coffee mugs, it affects everything from clothes to collectibles. It's the reason why we often overestimate the worth of things we own simply because they're ours. Have you ever found yourself in a situation where you thought an item you own was worth more than what others were willing to pay? Share your experiences in the comments below. We'd love to hear your stories and how the endowment effect has played a role in your life. Next up is emotional attachment. We often form strong emotional bonds with our possessions, which can inflate their perceived value. Think about a family heirloom, like a grandparent watch. It might not have much monetary value, but its sentiment worth is immeasurable to you. This emotional attachment can make it hard to part with items, even when it's practical to do so. Does a particular item hold special memories to you? Let us know in the comments. Another factor is loss aversion. This principle suggests that pain of losing something is psychologically more impactful than the pleasure of gaining something of equal amount. So now, if you have spent years with your favorite jacket, the thought of losing it can make you overvalue it compared to a new jacket. Or for instance, if you have invested years in customizing a vintage car, the thought of selling it can seem more painful than the joy of acquiring a new one. You might end up valuing the car more highly than a buyer would. Have you ever held on to something simply because you couldn't bear to lose it? Comment below with your experiences. The status quo bias is another powerful force at play when it comes to our possessions and choices. This psychological tendency makes us gravitate toward maintaining the current state of affairs, even if making a change could actually be beneficial. It's all about sticking with what we know because it feels safer and more comfortable, despite potential advantages. For example, think about that old sofa in your living room. It might be worn out and past its prime, but its familiarity and comfort makes it hard to let go. Even if a new sofa would better suit your space and needs, the thought of change might felt daunting. Similarly, you might hold on to an outdated phone simply because you're used to it, despite the fact that a newer model would offer improved features and performance. The status quo bias keeps you from making the switch. This bias can make it challenging to part with items or embrace new options, even when change could enhance your life. It's a bit like staying in a familiar but less than ideal job because it's what you know, even if a new opportunity could offer greater satisfaction. How do you feel about making changes or letting go of your belongings? Are there things you have held on to simply because they're familiar? Share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. We are eager to hear how the status quo bias has influenced your choices. Now, let's talk about the IKEA effect. This term describes how we tend to place a higher value on things we have put effort into creating. If you have assembled a piece of furniture yourself, you might feel it's more valuable than a pre-assembled one, even if the quality is similar. This effect can make us feel more attached to items we have put effort into. Have you ever felt more attached to something because you built or customized it yourself? Share your DIY stories with us in the comments. Nostalgia and sentimentality are powerful forces too. Items from our past can carry significant emotional weight, which boosts their perceived value. Whether it's an old concert ticket or a childhood toy, these items remind us of cherished moments. For example, an old concert ticket or a childhood toy can remind us of special moments, making them seem more valuable. A person might hold on to a tattered high school yearbook because it represents cherished memories, even though it might not be worth much. Does nostalgia influence your views on your possessions? Let us know in the comments. The sunk cost fallacy is another key concept. This fallacy occurs when we continue to invest in something because of the resources we have already committed, even if it's no longer worth it. For instance, you might keep pouring money into an old car that frequently breaks down simply because you have already spent a lot on repairs. The sunk cost fallacy can lead us to overvalue items we have invested heavily in. Have you ever experienced this in your own life? Comment below and let's discuss. Social proof and value perception are also significant. We often look to others' opinions to gauge the value of something. If everyone in your social circle praise a certain brand or item, you might start to see it as more valuable than it might objectively be. Have you ever bought something because of its popularity? Share your experiences in the comments. Lastly, brand loyalty and personal value can skew our perception. When you're loyal to a brand, you might overlook flaws and overvalue its products. Think about your favorite brand. Does it influence how you perceive the value of its products? For instance, if you're a devoted Apple user, you might value an iPhone more highly than a similarly priced phone from another brand. This loyalty can make you more attached to the brand's products. We'd love to hear about your brand loyalty experiences in the comments. And so, there you have it. Several fascinating reasons why we often end up valuing our possessions way more than they might actually be worth. It's all about psychological biases and emotional attachments that shape our perceptions. From the endowment effect, where we value things just because they are ours, to sentimental connections that make our stuff seem irreplaceable. These factors deeply influence how we view our belongings. Does any of this hit home for you? Maybe you have noticed these biases in action in your own life. Perhaps you have held on to something for years because it feels like an extension of yourself, even though it might not hold on much practical value. We'd love to hear your thoughts and experiences. Drop a comment below and share your stories with us. If you found this video insightful and engaging, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell icon so you never miss out on our latest content. Thanks for tuning in, and we can't wait to see you in the next video.